Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Janie Lee Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. I hope you're well. Just a quick reminder of a few things coming up on Saturday, 26th of July, depending on when you're listening to this, of course. I'm going to be at the Latitude Festival in Suffolk, part of a panel on the Zen stage. So come along if you're there if you're at the Latitude Festival. And then if you're thinking festivals, I'm going to be part of the Wellness Way Festival in August. That's in Wasing Woods. It's 8th to 10th of August. So looking forward to being part of that. Speaking alongside greats like Barbara O'Neill and Patrick Holford. I'm going to be speaking on this Saturday. And if you're thinking of getting tickets, you can get 15% off if you use the code Janie Lee Grace 15. That's Janie Lee Grace written in capitals 15. And I'll make sure the link goes in the show notes. I must just ask, I think there's still time as well for you to vote for this podcast in the British Podcast Awards. You just go to British Podcast Awards /voting. I'd be so grateful if you were willing to do that. So thank you in advance. I'll pop it in the show notes. So I hope you're having a good summer. And please reach out, as I've said so many times, if things are tough for you. In our Sober Club community, one of the really great things is that people can share without judgment what's going on. And, you know, it is interesting that sometimes people are doing really, really well. And then something trips them up. And it's, you know, what is that thing? How do we bottle the moment that helps that light bulb to come on, if you like, that helps us to stay stopped? And I really think it's about so many things, but setting intentions and putting the work in. You know, we do actually have to do the self-care work. It's so important. We have to do the physical stuff, the good nutrition, the right supplements, the properly taking care of ourselves. And obviously we have to do the mindset stuff too. I'm really pleased that my guest today is Mark Gogolewski, and he's doing some fantastic stuff for men's mental health. He's got a fantastic CV, as you will hear. He's done some amazing things. He's a filmmaker, an entrepreneur, and also the author of How to Be Okay, brackets, when you're supposed to be okay, but you're not. So it's a great title. That book is out now. It's had some incredible reviews. It's a candid self-help guide to offer men a path from the feelings of shame to self-acceptance. That's one of the reviews. But of course, it's for all of us. And I really loved the chat that I had with Mark. Going to bring that to you in a moment. He's so vulnerable, really, just willing to be vulnerable. And I think that goes a long way, doesn't it? Really, really goes a long way. Some of the guys that I've worked with my sober coach training program, I've trained a few guys. We've got a few more guys coming through because there tend to be a lot of women who want to train to be sober coaches. But bit by bit, there are more guys coming through. And in fact, one of our coaches, Tony, is going to be hosting Sober Guys Talking very soon. So an opportunity for men to chat for free and, just be part of a webinar and just share some stuff that they might not otherwise talk about. You've got to have that non-judgmental platform, really, where things feel as though it's in confidence. And so obviously the Sober Club is open to guys, but this is going to be a kind of an add-on. If there are any guys listening who want to be part of the Sober Guys Talking project. So we'll bring you more information about it in due course, but drop me a message if you know you're interested and I'll pass that on to Tony. And it's fantastic that more guys are coming through now to train to be holistic sober coaches. It feels really powerful. that's changing. So I really hope you enjoy this interview with Mark. And then after the interview, I'll just remind you again how you can get tickets for that Wellness Way Festival in case you want to see Barbara O'Neill, well, and me on the Saturday. I'll tell you after this. My guest has the most fabulous name, Mark Gogolewski. I hope I said that right. An
You said it
entrepreneur,
beautifully.
good, good, good. An investor, a filmmaker, a father of two who's in California, and CEO of Realization Films, and an author. And oh my God, so much to talk about. Thank you so much for joining me, Mark.
Genuinely, thank you so much for having me.
Tell me a little bit about your background before we get into the book and the stuff you're doing now. I always like to know what kicked it all off.
I usually start in Silicon Valley. I arrived at the age of 22, joined a startup at age 25, and by 41, we had sold the company, and my life was radically changed by that. I had a beautiful and amazing wife and two wonderful sons. And after we sold the company, we spent a year trying figuring out where we wanted to live.
Mm,
And we had spent so much time in Lake Tahoe skiing on the boat in the summer, and we realized that would be a wonderful place to raise our sons. And I went from a place that was incredibly type A to a place that was the opposite. And then
mhm.
I slowly, everything fell apart.
Right. Tell me how.
Well, I'd achieved the dream.
Mm. Where'd you go after
I
that?
thought when you achieve the dream, I thought that meant I would be happy.
Mm,
Everybody told me that. All of culture, all of Silicon Valley, school, everything said that was the pinnacle.
yeah.
And when I moved to Tahoe, I had lost my purpose.
Mm,
And what I didn't know is my purpose wasn't just to succeed, it was to bury the pain of my childhood. And success was a way to get validation, applause, love. Well, sometimes it looked like love, some of it was love.
mm,
But it was really just like so many people who experience trauma as a child. Your kid psyche makes a decision, buries that experience, and my defense was success.
yeah.
So being in Lake Tahoe, where success is defined in very different ways, I always joke the only thing people in Tahoe are type A about is their sports equipment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I lost my mind. I tried many things. I tried being a ski bum. I volunteered at the local charter school. I helped, advise entrepreneurs, and I helped friends with their companies. But what was really happening is the pain that was deep inside of me just had to come out. And to be
Mm,
honest with you, it was more the rage that was hiding the pain had to come out.
mm,
And slowly, my drinking, which had been, I would say I was a professional functional alcoholic.
yeah.
From the moment I went to college, I went to a school, the University of Virginia, where they still sell T-shirts that say work hard, play hard. And we all know what the play hard is.
Yeah.
Then Silicon Valley and being a C-level executive traveling the world. Let's see, I picked skydiving, which you don't drink when you skydive, but you sure as heck drink after you skydive.
Yeah.
Skiing, same culture. I built a life around alcohol just because my protection was around alcohol.
Mm,
And as you know, alcohol isn't 100% bad, especially when you start. Suddenly it's freeing and you're comfortable and you're relating to other people and you're dancing and you're flirting and it starts off much more value than pain, and obviously it flips over time. And in my 40s it started flipping hard.
yeah. So how'd you get free?
I faced my biggest fear. And what kept me drinking is that I was so terrified that I would destroy my sons that I hid it from them because I thought if I told them, they would know what a failure I was.
Mm,
And as somebody who used success as a defense, that was completely unacceptable. And so I woke up one morning on a Monday feeling better than I deserved, surprised that I felt better than I deserved. And then my blood pressure ramped, and I knew what that meant. So it was a trip to the hospital, day drinking, or go to rehab. And I just couldn't day drink again because it was all gone. All the joy was gone. It was just one drink after another.
mm,
Maybe the like four shots that I would have at night so I could sleep would feel good. but it was just drudgery. It was just awful. I felt horrible. And I called my ex-wife, who we did not have a good relationship at the time, and told her she had to watch our sons for the next month. And then all three of them, God, I always cry. All three of them just supported me
Yeah.
in the
It's,
most beautiful, accepting way. And I was shocked.
yeah.
It was the worst and then the best moment of my
Mm. I'm sure you were told at some point it's not your fault. Alcohol's addictive. It's not your fault.
life. I don't know. I think far more, yes, yes, but I think far more that I heard that I made my choices.
You did, yeah.
I felt the judgment from everyone, especially myself. How did I end up in a place where I was choosing to day drink instead of be alive and be available for my sons and maybe start a company or make something happen, find new love? I was a
Because you got caught in
disaster.
the alcohol trap, didn't you? Like so many of us. And it is a trap, and we are all lied
Yeah,
to.
I mean, sooner or later, the depressive effects of alcohol just grab you and take you
Yeah.
down. I mean, yeah, I think about it. Drugs are tools.
Mm.
Some are really bad tools. Some are great tools. Penicillin's a great drug. If you were in the wild west of the United States and had to get your leg chopped off, a bottle of alcohol was your
Yeah,
friend.
exactly. Exactly.
You went to war, one night of tearing it on was a good thing. You got to let the stress out. But when you do it, well, it's funny. I quit. I don't know. I quit 1,000 times, but I was not drinking more days than I was drinking for the last 5 years.
Mm. Mm.
But when I would drink, it's because the urges would start at 5, and either I went to sleep with an urge or I drank, and sooner or later you break.
Mm.
You just
Mm.
can't take the constant neurological pressure of pushing for that dopamine.
Yeah,
And later I ended up getting my brain scanned, and literally my hypothalamus was on overdrive. My
really.
dopamine system was begging for dopamine. And
Yeah,
until I upended my entire life so I could, create healthy dopamine, I was stuck.
yeah. So did rehab work in inverted commas?
In my case, rehab worked a lot, and I was very prepared for it to work. I had done therapy for, geez, 5 years. I had gone down spiritual paths. I had tried changing my diet. I had tried finding hobbies and groups to spend time with. I had tried many, many things. And when I left rehab, it actually went really well for about 10 weeks. And I talk about this in the epilogue of my book, How to Be Okay, when you're supposed to be okay, but you're not. And 10 weeks later, the lights went out. And I went from doing all the things you're supposed to do, feeling really good.
Mm.
And then over the course of about 36 hours, it's like somebody hit a switch. And I called all the support I had. I had two therapists at the time. I had a backup therapist. My main one was on vacation. And this gentleman who saw me from time to time over the years, I think he saw the forest for the trees. And he said, I think you need to consider that you're bipolar.
Right.
Now, I got to tell you, that scared me for lots of reasons. It's a very
Mm.
scary term.
Yeah,
I didn't know what it meant. And I was terrified of psychiatric
yeah,
drugs
yeah.
and doctors. I lost one of my best friends who blew his head off, who struggled with alcohol. And I'm convinced, but I have no proof that it's the antidepressants that ultimately was the biggest cause.
Mm.
Obviously, there was a
Mm.
thousand causes. But long story short, I ended up getting my brain scanned and discovering that I had, similar to American football players, CTE,
Mhm.
which is, I forgot what it stands for, but it's when you bang your head enough that you basically have brain damage. And I'm a
Right,
skydiver. So
right.
after 3,700 skydives, you have enough fast openings that you go from 120 to zero. It's like having a car accident.
Right.
When you have almost 4,000 skydives, you have 40 really tough openings, and four of them, in my case, two of them, I probably should have gone to the hospital because I was close to having a concussion, or
Right.
probably had a concussion. So in the end, I needed hyperbaric oxygen therapy, about 100 hours to help my brain. And I will tell you, I have not had an urge since.
Mm.
And that
Amazing.
is as you know, and anyone listening who hasn't struggled with this may not know, to be relieved of your urge is night and day.
Yeah.
It's not a small thing. It's the world.
Yeah. Fascinating story. And when you decided to write the book then, How to Be Okay When You're Supposed to Be Okay, but you're not, um, what was the idea behind that? I mean, obviously you know you were going to share some of your own story, but I know that uh, I'm guessing you feel that mental health generally and the various nuances are just it's just not addressed enough. I mean, certainly in the UK it isn't, and I'm guessing it isn't where you live either.
Yeah, no, certainly not. It feels like nothing works. And I wrote the book partly the first impetus was to help others after so many years and so many experiments and so many failures.
Mm,
But I realized later I really wrote it because I just didn't understand what happened to me.
right. So it was a
I
kind of
don't, I know,
cathartic experience writing it, was it?
well, not just cathartic, but defensive. My
Right.
sons don't know what
Okay.
on
Yeah,
earth
yeah.
happened to me. My
Yeah.
family, my close friends. Why? Nobody, even addicts, we don't know why us.
Yeah.
Everybody drinks. My God, drinking is everywhere. And yet, those of us who fall to real physical addiction with alcohol, we're more condemned and damned than we are understood
Yeah.
by a country mile. I mean, there's no comparison between the two. There are ex-addicts understand you in a heartbeat. The people who work in the recovery industry, the vast majority of them are ex-addicts, the ones that
Yeah.
are really good because they can connect with you. They know they've been there. They know in some sense there is no answer. There's only responsibility, and you got to get your own way out. And that's the biggest thing in my book is that until you decide, until you say, basically, you're an adult, you know what's happening. What's it going to take for you to decide to do the awful, necessary work to
Yeah.
go step by step and rebuild your life? Because the hard part is, you know it. You know this means everything. And that's one of the reasons we all resist. We want to go back to normal, whatever that is. Can I
Mm,
just hang out with everybody and not go off the charts
yeah. Yeah.
until you convince yourself you know you can't do it? You just
Yeah.
can't. Move on. Oh,
Tell me
it's so
about the
awful.
shame and the shame and the self-acceptance, because I know that's something you approach in the book. So often people, quit, but then rather than, feeling great, they have such crippling, debilitating shame as to what's gone before. And actually it doesn't serve you, does it? We have to find a way of self-acceptance.
Well, yes. And I will say that suffering has a purpose.
Yeah.
Suffering is, I believe, God's call. Now, you don't have to use the G word or the J word. It's the call to reality. It's the call to what really matters to you if you just want to stay in a psychological frame.
Yeah.
But as you fall into addiction, from the outside, many see it as one horrible choice after another. And from the inside, it it doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like a desperate lifeline. It's the only tool. Okay, imagine you start with alcohol, and at the beginning it's fun. There's positives. I mean, I was a shy and closed up guy when I went to college, and alcohol freed me up
Mm.
and made me social in ways that now I can be without alcohol. But I didn't know that. I just had the experience of, wow, I meet people, I have fun, I can connect. But then slowly over time, it's hurting you. You know it's killing you. And your family and friends see it. And even with the best family and friends, there's judgment. There's just going to be there. And when that happens, you withdraw.
Yeah.
You hide your drinking and you sit in your shame. That shame is telling you, you know this is awful. You know you need to change. You don't know how, and you stay there until it's so awful that you jump out the window, metaphorically.
Yeah.
And the doorway out is first acceptance, but people get confused on the definition of acceptance. Acceptance does not mean you agree with it. Acceptance means that you accept reality as it
Yeah.
is.
Exactly. Mm.
And the way out is to first accept it and then find forgiveness. And
Yeah.
and forgiving yourself for a lifetime of mistakes is a tough battle. So usually we start by forgiving others, and that's why group community, group therapy, community efforts,
Yeah.
church, if that's your thing. You connect with people who can look at you and say, I'm you,
Yeah.
just over here.
Yeah. Exactly. And I know you want to kind of address some of the struggles of of men, because obviously, men t typically tend to talk less about it. And I suppose as well, specifically guys who are really successful. So everything's great for them, isn't it, on the outside? And they're the ones who are, they're not expected to be as you say, not okay. They're meant to be okay.
It's funny. There was an article written up about the book in our local paper, and somebody commented, try quitting addiction without money next time and then talk to me.
Hmm.
That kind of captures what it's like to be successful.
Mm.
And as a man, I always joke, nobody loves you unconditionally except your mother.
Yeah.
And I think you can call that one into question, not from time to time as well.
Yeah.
As men, we're expected to, what's wrong with you? Get up off the ground, clean yourself up. Come on. And it's culture, it's men to men. I mean, one of the positives of a male to male relationship is your friend calls you out,
Yeah.
usually in a supportive way, of course. But like judgment, there's the stink. Oh, you're fine. Come on, you're a rich guy.
Mm.
What problems do you, I mean, people told me all the time when I would try to share, like I was struggling, hey man, you're living the dream. You're entitled to living the dream. And
Yeah.
inside I'm like, you have no idea how much I am not living the dream.
Yeah.
It's just more separation and isolation. It feeds into the shame. It's easier. By the way, if you live well, boy, is it easy to isolate in the middle of a divorce. Home in a big house, rattling around. I mean, like a free electron. It was awful. It's
Mm.
it makes shame and being alone massive loneliness. And as
Yeah.
you know, there's a big difference between being alone and being lonely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So tell me about the book. What's in it? What do you hope that people will get from it?
I've done a lot of spiritual work, and I'll answer it in that way. There's multiple paths to divinity. There's a lot of talk about the work and the way.
Yeah.
At the end, your way will forever be your way and nothing else. What you choose to take in, who you choose to listen to, what new diet or set of rules or spiritual truths, you're trying it all on to find out what works for you. And when you're an addict, especially when you're suffering from anything, you want out. You have to face the work of discovering yourself to figure out why you are where you are. And you need to try lots of things because at the moment, there is no one answer. We all bounce in and out of detox and rehab and groups and our families' couches and friends, friends' RVs or whatever else it is we happen to be trying. Like you have to work yourself to a real decision to change, not wanting, not wishing, not thinking about how it used to be or how you might just tweak it. You're going to have to face the fact that you built a life that that drives addiction.
Yeah.
So you have to fight to the decision, and then you have to figure out help. Now you get help from others. Healing comes through relationship to yourself, relationship to the healer, to the healee, to peers and fellow suffering humans. You have in the end, the way out is always responsibility,
Yeah.
self-responsibility, as much of it as you can take. And then if you want connection, in a sense, that's taking some responsibility for others. Maybe it's just a few people that you're close to in your group or your family or your friend structure. You have to care about more than yourself, but first you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah. So where do you think the self-love piece fits in, if that's not too woo-woo a term?
Well, yeah, isn't that a woo-woo term? I mean, when you first run into it, you're like, it sounds great, self-love. Yeah, got it. What on earth is self-love? I think starting with acceptance, meaning you just see where you are,
Yeah.
forgive others so you can build up some muscle of forgiveness, and then go find that little kid This is where therapy comes in. And therapy is getting a little controversial here in the States. I don't know how it is in the UK because, it can be good and it could be not good. But with therapy, you find that kid inside of you that got so hurt, who made the decisions, the defense, made the decision. Like in my case, my little kid made the decision that I'm just gonna have to be successful to be safe in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get why I did that, but I also have to forgive all the pain that came with it. That
Yeah,
kid did everything he could under horrific circumstances.
yeah,
And when you forgive that kid, then you can start forgiving the slightly older teenager, the young adult. And ultimately, you get to yourself and
yeah,
you can forgive yourself for where you're at because you start to realize that certainly when you were 7, it was not your fault. You were innocent, and without your consent, you were wounded to the core. That's easy. It's a lot harder to work through and see that, you have to take responsibility, but where it originated, you were an innocent child.
yeah. Have you ever done family constellations?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. I would love to introduce you to that. It's the most incredible, very powerful work that I'm trained in now, and I mean, for me, aside from quitting alcohol, it's the thing that made the biggest difference in my life for sure. But one of the things that we say, if you like, or we think about in family constellations is this idea that um, it's not about what happened to you. We can't change that. It might be horrific, traumatic, absolutely terrible. We know that. But it's not about what happened to you. It's about what you made it mean. And that's exactly what you've just said. You had all kinds of stuff happen to you, which heartbreakingly we can't change. And we
I
now
worked.
know what you made it mean. You made it mean something to keep you safe, of course. But actually, those that protection is no longer needed. And the statements that you probably have said to yourself for so many years are no longer true.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I worked with and still work with a hypnotist, Jason Andrews, and his work is very similar. All of it's in a way you get to the same place.
Yeah, yeah,
You can't change the facts of what happened, but you can change your experience of it
exactly.
because
Exactly.
now it's like, oh, well, I would never do it that way.
Yeah,
And my child, I can understand why that happened.
yeah,
Oh, that and right, then you forgive and you bring, it sounds woo-woo, but you bring that part of you, that energy back in. And
exactly.
it is for anyone laughing at the woo-woo words, the experience is exactly that.
Yeah, it is. It's that self-kindness piece. And checking in on what those limiting beliefs are, because we've all got them. We've all got things that we say about ourselves. If we, they reckon that if you were to say out loud, you look in the mirror in the morning, and irrespective of what you actually look like, the stuff you're thinking, if you were to say it out loud, and there was a small child in the room, you probably had for abuse, because most of us come out with terrible stuff in our heads about ourselves.
Oh
And
my God, I
actually,
spent, oh,
we
finish,
need to
please.
be
Sorry. No,
kinder.
go.
No, we need to be kinder to ourselves. Most of us would not say to anyone else, certainly not to anyone we loved. We would never say the things to them that we say to ourselves.
It's funny, maybe I sound a little crazy when I'm at home, but I tend to talk to myself out loud.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I do that is to catch any
So you
weirdness,
can
because
hear
if
it.
you
Yeah.
actually say
Yeah,
it, you're
good.
like,
Yeah.
what did I just
Yeah,
say? Oh my
exactly that.
Lord.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're
Exactly
horrible.
that.
We're horrible to ourselves.
Yeah.
And affirmations is another woo-woo word, but I spent 2 months intercepting those negative thoughts
Yeah.
and saying, thank you very much. We're not
Yeah.
doing that
I hear
anymore.
you. Yeah.
And here's what we're going to do instead. Here's a
Yeah.
180-degree turn, a really good positive thought. And it took 2 months, but the chatter went down by 98%.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They do say, don't they? I forget who came up with it. It was this fantastic concept that every negative thought only has to last a maximum of 90 seconds before we typically recreate the next negative thought. So we're banging on about something, oh, this is crap and that's crap and I'm terrible. And, oh God, and another thing. But actually, if we can catch it and intercept it, we can decide, okay, you know what? I'm going to switch that. I'm going to switch that to something positive, or I'm going to bring in the curiosity about what else it might be. because
It
usually we
is a
get on a
strange
roll.
experience to become skeptical of one's own thoughts and
Mm,
realize I don't have to listen to any of this.
yeah,
What am
exactly.
I doing? Why
Exactly.
would I do this?
Yeah,
It's
it's
maddening when you
quite a
see
game
it.
changer when people realize we're not our thoughts. I used to think I was. I used to think that voice in my head that said, "I'll go to the fridge and have another glass." It was literally who I was, even though there was another little part of me going, "Well, actually, I've had enough to drink." It was literally as though I was being compelled by this addictive voice. And when you actually realize you're not your thoughts, you can be separate from them and choose a different one. It's so freeing.
I think that's the key of spirituality, because underneath your beliefs are those. Well, first there's your known beliefs, and then there's your unconscious limiting beliefs you got to go
Yeah.
hunting for. But underneath all that is identity.
Yeah, exactly.
And when
Exactly.
you identify as the guilty, suffering alcoholic and all those thoughts, you believe them because you've never experienced anything else for the
Yeah.
last whatever 10 years.
Yeah.
To discover you can't need to, and then you can change your identity.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the
Yeah.
secret sauce. And the reason to go woo woo, to go a little woo woo, is to go discover the truth of changing that foundation of who you are.
Yeah. I love it. Definitely. Well, the book, you've got some fantastic reviews for the book. Amazing. It sounds fantastic. It's out now. We must also mention Wall of White. Tell us about that because this started from a documentary, right? And that was on Netflix, and now it's going to be uh, adapted by Martin Scorsese. Have I got that right? Sounds like a massive
Yes,
name
yes, you
drop there.
do.
I caught
Yeah,
that name as I dropped it.
I must say that having a press release with my name with Martin
I know
Scorsese
it's
is
pretty
a
cool.
top 10 life moment.
It's quite cool,
I
isn't it?
thought that was the coolest thing on the planet, and I want to tattoo it on myself. So I'll go back quickly. I'll go back 10 years. Stephen Sigg and Jared Drake and I came together and wanted to take the book Wall of White and the avalanche that happened next door to us in Alpine Meadows and turn it into a major motion picture.
Mm,
But we were nobodies in the film world, so that didn't go anywhere, although we did write a screenplay. And then we received the advice to, why don't you just do a documentary? And so
mm.
we did. And Jared and Sig did an unbelievable job. It didn't do great out in the theaters because there was the whole COVID thing, but when it landed on Netflix, it was number six in the country for all movies, not
Yeah,
just
that
documentaries.
was
Number
called
six.
Buried, right? That was called
That's
Buried.
Buried.
Yeah,
The avalanche at Alpine Meadows,
yeah, yeah,
1982. I hope I got the number right. And then with that success, one thing led to another. And yes, Martin Scorsese is signed on to help produce the major motion picture. And, all fingers and toes are crossed at the
yeah,
moment that this comes together and gets greenlit. And I got to say, my life is pretty strange.
yeah. Fantastic. That's exciting. Really exciting. Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Well, I wish you all the best, Mark. It's super exciting, and I wish you all the best and continued success with the book, which is just as great. I love the title, "How to Be Okay When You're Supposed to Be Okay, But You're Not." Love it. And we'll put the link in the show notes and all of that. And if you come to the UK, let me know. Let's meet up. I'll introduce you to Family
I would love that.
Constellations. Yeah, that'd
Oh
be
my gosh,
great.
face to face would be such a joy. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for the time and the conversation. You're a gift.
And you take care. Thanks so
You
much.
too.
We'll put a link in the show notes to this great book. And just a reminder then, the Wellness Way Festival, it's the 8th to 10th of August at Wasing Estate in Berkshire. Barbara O'Neill on the bill, Patrick Holford, Dr. Jenny Goodman. I'm speaking on Saturday, the 9th, about sobriety, I suppose you could say, but also holistic living. And if you want to get 15% off tickets, use the code Janie Lee Grace 15. That's Janie Lee Grace written in capital letters. It would be fantastic to see some of you there. Also, if you're listening to this on the day it's released, then Saturday, 26th of July, I'm going to be at Latitude Festival, just part of a panel on the Zen stage. So looking forward to that. And then later on in the year, September, 13th, I'm at the Chiswick Book Festival. We're going to put some dates in place, by the way, for Family Constellations and for another vision board day. So if that's something you're interested in, just drop me a line. Don't forget, if you want to join us in the Sober Club, it is, really low cost. It is really high value. Of course, I would say that, but it really is. We've got a course in there, Get the Buzz Without the Booze. We've got an incredible non-judgmental community who big each other up. There really is so much love bombing in there. And we've got members who are just starting out tentatively day one, and people who've been sober for 10, 12 years, and they still want to focus on well-being and holistic living and spirituality and all of the things that are archived in our sort of member portal, if you like, within the Sober Club. So have a look at that. And if you're interested in training to be a sober coach, you know where to find me. Drop me a message and we'll have a chat to see if it's right for you. Whatever you're doing, stay strong, stay committed, set your intention, get someone to hold the vision for you. Absolutely tell someone you're doing this and give yourself a big hug. I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club. Please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.